Hi guys, Bomber here. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be showing you another deck to farm Grandmaster difficulty into single player mode. Today will be a Metris hero, which is Birondelle, and it's a deck which I like to call the Birondelle Arsons. So, as the name of the deck suggests, this deck is all based on the card Arson, which is our main win condition, and all the deck is revolved around this card. And first of all, I need to say that Birondelle is not that great of a farming hero for Grandmaster, because her hero power does not pretty well synergize with the concept of farming, because the main build for Birondelle is actually a Mockingbird Metris, as I like to call it, and basically is a deck which concentrates all of their efforts to mimic your opponent deck and actually beat them with their own strategy. But that kind of deck does not perform pretty well in Grandmaster, not because it does not win almost all the times, but because it's very slow, and so it's not a great farming deck. And for that reason we must switch our strategy to a different archetype completely, which does not synergize at all with the hero power of Birondelle, but synergizes with the cards themselves. And so for that reason this deck is based on the card Arson, which is one of the most aggressive Metris cards they have available, but also it's really costly for an aggressive strategy. And so for that reason we run 3 copies of Clever Planning, because they are basically additional copies of Arson. It's like we run 6 copies of them, but they actually cost less than an Arson itself. And also this deck is pretty weak against opponent's allies, and so for that reason we run a lot of allies hate, like Mayhem and Seduce. So Seduce to actually grab one strong unit, or one on the really early game, like the first turn, to actually remove it from the aggressive side of the board, your opponent's board, and actually keep that aggressiveness for you. And instead Mayhem, for a wide board, you can clear it almost all the times. So, in our first match we are up against Lystrata, and as I said, this deck is all based on the card Arson, so for that reason we must seek for this card. And so we'll start by playing it, so we'll hopefully restock it another time. And it's always better to play the best upgraded ones first, because you will not restock the lesser upgraded ones. And so for that reason Clever Planning is a very good card for this deck, but we want to push it down and actually out of our bank, so that we can restock the better upgraded ones. But right now we see that our opponent played an Inquisitor, and so we'll go ahead and actually steal it. And we'll not play it because it could actually kill it. And instead I prefer to be keeping it in the pocket of our hands, and so that we actually stole like 13 gold from him, because Inquisitor is a very expensive card. And so that prevents him from replaying it. And so it's a better play than actually play it and gain some momentum, but then losing it all. And so for that reason we'll continue with the plan and actually just play a Mayhem, because it's the best upgraded one, and we can push some damages in. So right now instead we do not have any of the upgraded ones on our bank, and we actually don't want to play Seduce, as I prefer to actually grab another Inquisitor or something like that. So right now instead we restock the best upgraded Mayhem, and so we go ahead and play it, so we can actually push a little bit more damage. Instead right now we'll wait for the Mayhem, as it is not the best upgraded one. And so right now it is a good option to play the Clever Planning and then play the Arson, so we mitigate a bit of the economy of our opponent. So we'll play a Clever Planning, as we already have an Arson in our deck, and so it's like a 3 cost gold Arson, which is very nice. So right now, if we play this Arson, we'll hopefully leave the opponent with a very low amount of goals, and so his loans will actually keep all the time at negative goals, and so he can't actually buy any other things, at least in the present. And actually I think that was a misplay, because we first of all needed to play the Clever Planning, but we have another one in our deck and in bank, so that was not that big of a mistake. And so right now we are very, very close to lethal, because one other Arson is lethal. And so that's it, because thanks to the Inquisitor we can convert one attack into a skull, and so that's GG. Now, in our second match we are up against a Zalazir, and as always we must search for the Arson, and since we see that we have a Clever Planning fully upgraded, we'll go ahead and grab it, as it is a very good card to have always on board to actually save the Arsons from destroying. And so for the same reason another Clever Planning is always nice, and so we'll grab that also. And so you see that right now those Clever Plannings that costed 1 and 2 will actually translate into an Arson, which is cost 5, 6 or 7. So that's a very great move, and also we can clear the Conjured Agret from our opponent's board. So right now he bought an Underworld Bunch, actually he copied it with the other Shiriko, and it's not a great move because we can always seduce it, and so we'll go ahead and do that, because 2 damages per turn, and actually our opponent does not have a clear way to kill it. It's a very good move, and so we wasted the Clever Planning to the Seduce, but that's actually fine. We'll keep it in our hand to actually use it when we'll need to do so. And right now we'll go ahead and play the Mayhem just to put a little bit of pressure, and because it was the best upgraded ones. And so right now we'll play the Clever Planning and go for the Arson, even if it's the least upgraded one. We can do that because we were pretty high on the gold amount. So right now we'll play the Clever Planning first and then play the Arson to actually clear our opponent board. And right now we'll also go ahead and use another Seduce, because with doing that the Underworld Barge would not be killed by the Conjured Warrior, and also the Conjured Warrior is not a very great card, but for just 2 gold acquiring it is not that big of a mistake. And so we actually keep our board instead, which is a very great move. And we'll continue to spam the Arsons, and since we have also Clever Planning, and I think it's also pretty close to lethal, and yes it is, because we have 2 Seduces available, and so that's 4 skulls, and GG. In our third and final match we are up against another Zalazir, and right now we'll go ahead and play the Clever Planning, and actually also go for the Arson, because we want to restock it as much as possible, since it was the best one. And right now we'll wait for the Arsons, as I do not want to put 7 damages in without any reason, because if you actually see that we are very far away from killing him, and instead I'll wait for a Clever Planning or something like that. And we'll want to play this Arson because we have better options, actually chances, to restock it another time. Instead, this one will always have it available on our deck, and instead we want to actually control a little bit our restockings. So right now we'll go ahead and kill the Gilded Scribes with the Arson, and also play the Mayhem to actually put a little bit of pressure, since it was the best upgraded ones. Now we'll wait. The Clever Planning is always very nice, and so we'll go ahead and actually first of all grab the Whispered Barbs, because it will grow up and actually maybe be our win condition options. So right now we'll go ahead and play the Arson to actually put a little bit of damage, and also clearing 2 of his magics, since it was pretty aggressive. And right now we'll go ahead and instead seduce the Gilded Scribe, since we have a Whispered Barbs in our hand, and so we'll be more aggressive by getting the Gilded Scribes, and also put more damage in thanks to the Arson, because 3 damages would have been dealt to the Gilded Scribes, and instead that way we put 3 more damages on his face. And so right now you see that that is lethal thanks to the Whispered Barbs and the Gilded Scribe move, so GG. So, As I've said, Birondelle is not a very great deck, actually hero to farm Grandmaster, but if you need some exp on air specifically, you would want to actually run a deck with her, and so that's a very good option to farm Grandmaster mode. As I said, it's not very synergistic with the hero himself. It actually is a deck which you can better play in Theodox, for example, but it's a deck which works pretty fine and by itself and not relying on the hero power, and so for that reason it's a very good deck for Birondelle in Grandmaster specifically. And so that's it for this video. Hope you liked it and find it useful. Be sure to leave down below a comment to let me know what you want to see in the next videos, and as always, see ya!